Well, I had my first JS8 QSO with somebody using the JS8 Zoom group name.
Oh,
Ted V3 something up in Canada,
yeah.
not that far away from me. So he and we had a really long rag chew, actually a couple of them. So that was good news.
Yeah, that's excellent. And that's one thing I'm going to talk about tonight. I'm going to try to convince everybody to put that on there for their group call, because it's kind of handy for sending out reminders and things like that. I've got to now where I'm trying to do it like 2 days before, and then the day before, and then the day of, and just quick reminder. We'll bring this up now, and I'm going to try to think to bring it up again later. My wife and I are moving. We're moving about a mile, but what that entails is probably by this time next week, my shack is going to be disassembled. So I may not be able to run Zoom meetings for a little while. So if we come across somebody that could take this over for a week or two, or however, we could work something out. I was thinking, Rod, you said that you had at one time you had a Zoom license, and you could do it with the free version. You just have to make sure everybody knows that after 40 minutes they're going to have to join in again. We'll mute that conversation there a little bit. All right, yeah, we're getting about ready to go here. And too good. We got 5 of us in here. That's a good start. There could be others join as we go. See if Dave comes back to us here. When I click on the ask to unmute button, nothing happens. I got to go over to the 3 dots. Then something happens. All right, well, if we're ready, we might as well go. There's no use holding up for late joiners. I mean, everybody's welcome whenever they can get in, but we'll get going. I have some questions, and before we start, I'm going to pop this up here on my screen. If anybody cannot see it, let me know. If I get on the right screen and hit F2. Everybody, can you see my settings screen here?
It's small, but I can see it.
Okay. Gotta let another person. Hey, there's Ted. Excellent. Hi, Ted. I would like for, and we brought this up before, I would like for everybody to have, or as many as is willing to do so. It's not mandatory, but in your settings under call sign groups, if you could go ahead and add at JS8 Zoom in there, just because I kind of like to keep track of who all is participating. I mean, just for my own curiosity, if it's nothing else, but also sending out reminders like right before the meeting or not too long before the meeting. I normally, because this is just after Gray Line here in South Texas, so normally right before Gray Line, I'll be on 20 meters and I'll send out a reminder there to this group call. And then, well, a lot of times I'll do it on all call because I haven't had very many people add it yet, but we'll get there. Anyway, then as soon as we're done with Gray Line, I switch over to, or during Gray Line, I switch over to 40 meters and make the same announcement just as a reminder to get people. I've had 2 so far this evening ask for, oh, and there's another one. Hang in there. There is a fellow by the name of Greg that wants to join us, and I'm going to send him the info.
Hey, Ted, good to see you there, dude. You're muted.
Yeah, I just realized that it came up and said, you're muted. Good evening.
What are you thinking?
I was just bragging on making my first JS8 Zoom contact with you the other day.
Yeah, actually, it's kind of nice to put a face to people that you wind up chatting with.
Yeah,
or talking on the radio for that matter.
Yeah.
My opinion, that's what Dayton's all about.
Yep.
Mhm.
that's
Yep.
actually how, go ahead, Ted.
No, I just saying, I agree. Yep.
I was gonna say, I got back into amateur radio when my brother dragged me kicking and screaming to the Dayton Ham Fest. And it was the year that the guy that owns QRP Labs, Hans Sommers, was there. And he had this little QCX rig, a little CW only rig for like $50. $50. I can afford $50, right? And so I graduated to kit builder with that thing, and I got back into CW, and then I bought a QDX from him, and that's how I got onto JS8. Here I am.
Yeah, I've got QDX sitting on the shelf. I have to build it yet.
It's a lot of fun.
I intend to turn it into a just a little portable digital box.
Yep.
That's what I want to do after I get moved. It's another one of those. I'll get to it.
I've put in my request to Mama for a little tiny Windows-based laptop. So, you know, about not a laptop, but a tablet, because the heaviest thing I have in my portable digital thing is the honking circa 1922 laptop.
Yeah, I got one like that.
I think it's a tube-based laptop.
Well, now that would be doing something there.
Actually, one of the last things I did in the Air Force was I worked on a NORAD blockhouse computer, and it was tube logic. And the preventive maintenance was you started with these old circuit cards, you pull out a circuit card, replace it, put it back in, go to the next one. And by the time you were done getting to the last tube, you had to go back and do the first one again. But this thing aggregated, it was the Southwest NORAD Center, and it aggregated all the radar sites from Northern California down through Louisiana, that quadrant of the United States. And all the radar tape from all those radars was available on the screens in the operations center. That little computer did it back with tube logic. It was pretty cool.
Nice.
Actually, it was very, very hot.
I got in on the conversion on the F4 Phantoms on the ARC5 HF rig in there. They were tube type when I went through school. We did like 11 weeks of tube theory and 4 weeks of digital TTL logic. And this, oh man, by the time I hit the flight line, started doing maintenance on the airplanes we had at the base there, it was quite a transition, because there was mostly the old like senior master sergeants and master sergeants and stuff that have been there since, I don't know, 1800 something. But anyway, they were not happy about the transition, but anyway. All right, neither here nor there. All right, so I'll try to keep us on track if we can't. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate people chatting, and that's what we're here for, and to have a good time. So, oh, excellent. Here comes what's it? Greg joined us. He was the one I just sent an email to. So good. All right. So just one last time, if you would please consider putting at JS8 Zoom in your call sign groups. Leave that alone. I'm not sure that's going to develop over time. I'll do other things with it. And feel free, any of you, go ahead and send one out. Highlight that group and ask for a signal report, and you'll see who else is on. That's been part of this group at one point or another. So there's Greg. Excellent. All right, so the next one I have then, is there anyone here that is brand new to JS8, hasn't downloaded it, or I know several of you have been on here before, so or have just recently downloaded the last few days? Do we have anyone like that? Because I don't want to miss anybody. I tell everyone always that anyone from brand new to JS8 to people's been using it since Jordan started working on it is welcome here. So, and if there's anybody that's had it on for a few days, weeks, months, whatever, and you have a burning question, what burning question do you have? Anything is like, I don't understand this piece of it.
One of the things I've been trying to do, Wayne, is find a link path from upstate New York down to you.
I see.
And all I've been able to do is I find that people who answer HB, the heartbeat requests, right? And then I have to go ping each one of them individually saying, who are you hearing?
Yep.
And then it's second generation, who are you hearing? And I still haven't found a path to you.
It's yeah, and it's going to change on a daily basis. When I got started in this, I did very similar. I built a database. Well, I started with a spreadsheet and that wasn't working. And so I went to an actual, I used LibreOffice, and I went to one of their database program and was doing the same thing. I was keeping track of who I routinely heard. And I've also put the date, the last time I heard them and all that kind of stuff, and who that top 4 listing, like you said, pinging them for who they could hear. And I had quite an extensive database built and was making some progress with it. It's a lot of work, but then I had a hard drive crash, and guess who hadn't backed up? Hadn't backed up their work. So I have not restarted that effort, but somebody needs to. I think I'm going to mute Dave. I got you muted because you got a lot of background noise. So if you got the TV running or something like that, if you could shut that off, that'd be great. Or turn the volume down. All right.
There are signals on the waterfall. Some of them look like JS8, some of them don't.
There's several that are not. I noticed earlier, well, there was a bunch of RTTY when I first flipped over here about an hour ago. There was somebody doing RTTY, and I went and started FLDG, see if I could figure out who it was, because I have chased people down like that, found out their email and sent them an email, go, hey, you're right in the middle of JS8 land. Maybe you can.
Mind you, there's an RTTY contest coming up. They're probably warming up.
I wouldn't be surprised. And JS8 becomes nearly unusable every time. That whole thing about hams are supposed to share, and I 100% agree.
Oh, you know what? I just put my signal right between their signal, and the other side gets it fine.
Well, that's the thing. It's 2 different modes, so really it'll work. And I've done that, and kind of in the hopes that it interferes with their. I shouldn't say that, but
Like what are we seeing right now? What's the wide signal? The 2 narrows.
The 2 narrows are both fast mode. One of them was let's see, what is that? 926, 930. So that would be W5ODJ was called heartbeat, or responded to a heartbeat. So that one's cool. Here's one that's actually above 1,000. So they're having a QSO, and that's cool. It's 1090, and that is, you guys see how I'm doing this, right?
Yeah.
I go to where I see the signal on there, and then I look down on the band activity on the left. See that
one is coming in around 1200. That's probably turbo mode.
Yeah, this one is looks like it's either fast and they're over modulated, or it's turbo. But anyway, I see, okay, that's 1089. So I look, here's 1089, and you just hover over it and you can see who it is. It's neither here nor there. Like I say, there's nothing private about communications on here, and legally that's the way it's supposed to be. So that's all cool. I normally hang out about in the middle of the waterfall, 1750.
So are those wide ones JS8 also?
Yes.
It might be. Let me go down here. It's, of course, I stopped transmitting a little bit ago, but I'll go to fast mode and see if they pop in there again. Like this one here looks like it probably was a fast mode, but that would be a response to might have been a response to a heartbeat or something, possibly.
Yeah, if you look up on the top right corner of the screen where it says fast, multi, auto, and HD.
Yep.
Right there. If you click that, you can very quickly change from fast, slow to normal and each one of those, the bandwidth that you use up gets wider, but you can send more characters per second.
Yeah.
So if there's like an empty spot in the band you can use, and you've got good signal noise, there's no reason not to go to turbo mode, because then if you're doing a rag chew, you don't have to wait for 4.5 minutes for me to get my words through.
Yeah, when I do my little reminder to folks that the JS8 Zoom is coming up, I leave it in normal mode just because. And so that takes like 3.5, 4 minutes to transmit that whole thing. I kind of feel bad about that, but on the other hand, I'm only using the normal. If I was in turbo or something, I'd be using up a lot more bandwidth. So, and I only run it once a day. When I'm reminding people, I'll run it once on 20 and once on 40. And so
it's just being a good radio neighbor, right? If
Yep,
there's
right.
if there's a lot of band traffic up there and a lot of people trying to use the band, you don't use the faster modes. But like when I was talking with Ted a couple days ago in the middle of the day, I think he and I were the only guys on. And we had really good signal noise, so we both went to fast mode. And I think for a few minutes we tried turbo mode too, if I remember right, Ted. And it works great.
Yep.
You just don't want to do it when everybody and his brother's trying to be on the band at the same time.
Yeah, turbo uses a lot more.
Yeah, yep, it does. And down here in South Texas, this is about as busy as I ever see it on here. Sometimes it'd be a little bit more. I'll typically have my band activity window on the left will normally be pretty full, but I cut that off at an hour. So anything that's more than an hour old goes away. So that's been pretty busy. And then my call activity on the right-hand side, I also cut off at an hour because if somebody hasn't done a heartbeat or something within the last hour, they probably have gone, QRT. So, I just, to each their own. You can have, I had it on there where I kept it for 8 hours or something. It's like, why am I doing this? It's just ridiculously full.
So along those lines, Wayne, I got a question for you.
Mhm.
Is it good operating practice when you're about to shut down your JS8 system? What I've been doing, I send out to all call, N2 VJO, now QRT, and an AR, and sign off.
That's actually, I think, a good practice, and I have done that. I don't do it as consistently as I should, but the reason for that is, there's a lot of people that are concerned with how little or how much, or actually how little QSO goes on here, and it's getting better. I've seen improvement in just the last few weeks, but there's a lot for MCOM folks such as myself. It's important that these radios that are on and running in robo mode is just fine with me as long as I know who they can hear, and I can leapfrog these messages out to get an emergency message out if I need to. And so even though we're not seeing a lot of or as many QSOs as we would like, it's still important to have that on and have your auto reply turned on and that kind of stuff, because it helps. Well, like with the APRS reporting, if you got all that stuff turned off and I need to get an APRS emergency message out somewhere and my APRS radio is not working, I can do it with JS8. But if nobody else is around to hear it and put it on the internet for me, then I'm just kind of screwed. So I'm so happy that Jordan included that in the programming, and I use it a lot, quite a bit, especially when I'm operating portable. So yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that I tend to, when I leave the radio in essentially robo mode, I turn off heartbeat, but I leave on auto response.
Yeah, there you go.
That way I'm not getting in the way of anyone who wants to use it and, transmitting regularly, but I'm still there for relays. And if you send an SNR to a group, I'll respond.
Yep, there you go. Well, and the only thing I could say about that, as far as anything even slightly negative, is that if you're not putting a heartbeat out at least once an hour or something, then you disappear off my list on the right-hand side, and I wouldn't know to use your call sign as a relay.
Nobody disappears off mine.
Well, and that's the thing.
I have aging turned off.
I did for a while, and
Ooh.
I got full.
Where do I sign up for that? I'd like to turn off aging.
You can.
I'm failing.
Yeah, I did. See, I'm only 29. See if anybody's buying.
Right.
That's my story. I'm sticking with it.
Another thing I've been thinking about for operational stuff, I think a lot of times you have to fish around. You see somebody answering heartbeats and somebody sends out a heartbeat and you wonder if they're really at the keyboard. I think what I'm going to do in my status, when I'm at the keyboard, I'm going to make my status read something to be effective. Now QRV for QSOs.
Yep, you could do that. I was going to point out status. It was a long time before I figured out what you could really do. There's different things you can do. Right now, I just got mine set up. If somebody asks for my status and I'm not around, they're going to get this message, and it's going to tell them how long since the last time I transmitted anything. So I think I got it set at one hour for heartbeats or something like that. So about the worst they're going to see is a idle 1 hour and then leave me a message, because that's what I want to have happen. Just go ahead and leave me a message. And, there's 3 different ways to do that. So, that's what, but you're right. I mean, if you're gonna do the QRV or go QRT or whatever, and leave it run, you could have that on there, and it's easy to change. You make sure your window is highlighted, you hit F2, pop this open, type in what you want, hit OK, and you're good to go. So it doesn't take any time at all. There's just
isn't there a thing that allows decoding all speeds simultaneously?
There is. Let's see where that setting is. Is that behavior?
And has anybody used that on a Raspberry Pi?
Oh, well, right up until you said Raspberry Pi, I was going to say, I do. But I have it on a Windows 10 machine.
You might get away with it on a Raspberry Pi 4 with
Right
lots of
there it
memory.
is.
Especially an 8 gig model. 4
And
gig.
if you're not running a lot of other stuff at the same time, it would probably work fine on a Raspberry Pi 4.
Where does it?
I only have a Pi 3B plus, and you
Oh,
can't
Pi
get
5?
4s.
Try it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's the first one. If you go to mode up here at the in the menu bar at the top and go to mode, it's the first of the 4
Yeah.
that I always have checked, and that's enable simultaneous at
Yeah.
all times.
Hey,
So
Wayne,
yes,
try clicking on the normal multi button up on the right, see if you get that same menu.
yeah, it's the same menu. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Decoder sensitivity, it's all the same stuff.
Yeah.
Jordan built, I mean, there's several places. It's kind of like this, your offset frequency here. I mean, you can just move your cursor around and pick a spot and hit it, or you can come up here and type in something specific.
Yeah, the other thing you can do, when you click your cursor down there, just click at any random place.
Mhm.
Just go ahead and click at any random place. Oop. And you'll see that you're at like 26. If you use your mouse wheel up and down,
Yeah,
it'll move that to the nearest 5 hertz offset, 510, whatever, right?
yep, it'll snap.
So if you're not, yeah, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yes, that is. And like I said, I learned new stuff on this all the time, and I've been using it quite a while now. I wasn't one of the early adopters, but it's just a cool program. I really enjoy it. But yes, that's a very good point. And then your other place that you can set it, you can come down here and type it in the control tab down here on next to your waterfall. So there's 3 different places where you can set that, aside from just clicking somewhere on there. So I was like 3 times down. I've started over here to fast mode, and see here's somebody doing fast. So if you just right click there and hit jump to, it jumps right to it. And we can eavesdrop. Of course, they're doing transmit now, but yeah, anyway. And also you see all the red in there. They haven't discovered their little button over here. I know we've had this discussion before, but there's a reason that's adjustable up and down on the right hand side there.
Well, unless you're using a QDX, in which case it must be set to full
Yes.
100.
100%.
I think that's because of the way the QDX is designed. It will not overmodulate.
They use a tiny little audio module in there.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like an LM317, but it's something like that. And so it's not a robust audio, and it doesn't have to be, right? It's a QRP radio, so it's fine. And I completely understand if they got that cranked all the way up. But and then there's others. It depends on your computer also. If you're using an old laptop versus a newer laptop, or you're using an iPad, for instance, there, Dave. Your audio levels, and I couldn't begin to tell you on an iPad how you would go about setting that. I know on Windows, I come down to my sound bar, open sound settings, and then go to the sound control panel, and then pick out if I needed to do some major adjustment, you go to one of these, or you can go to recording and set the levels there. So is it similar on an iPad? I don't know.
It depends on your radio too.
Yes, because every combination is going to be a little bit different, right? I mean, and different laptops, different iPads, whether it's an iPad or an Android version or whatever. So
That reminds me, on a Raspberry Pi, I tried setting my transmit levels and I was not able to do it. I had to go to the rig and change the gain on the audio input. Has anybody experienced that with Raspberry Pi?
The Raspberry Pi has some interesting audio drivers and software. it's
Well, I tried Awesome.
Go ahead.
I didn't try AVU control. I tried Awesome Mixer, and it seemed to make no difference.
I've heard that the ALSA driver is problematic to work with. Once you get it set, it's really good, but getting it there is a challenge. I've heard. I don't know. I stopped using Raspberry Pis for ham radio stuff because I was frustrated all the time with, like, you get one thing working and something else don't work. And it's like, you know,
I always use PAV control on the IRLP and Echolink nodes that I run on Raspberry Pis.
Yeah. Well, and you know, I use Pis for, like I said, I've got a couple for running network, my NAS network drive stuff and my ham clock, and you know, I use them for a lot of different things. I just stopped using them for direct ham related stuff.
So Rod,
Reason I started using a Raspberry Pi is my Dell laptops made too much electrical noise, and the Raspberry Pi is pretty quiet.
That's true also. Yep.
so Rod, what do you use for video display and a mouse interface with your Raspberry Pi?
I have a USB mouse,
Okay.
or excuse me, a wireless mouse with the little dongle that plugs in. And on the display, I have a HDMI to VGA adapter cable. I cable directly into a VGA monitor.
In the middle of a Zoom, how may I help you?
Okay, so your Raspberry Pi has an HDMI output port?
Yes.
I'd be
All the
interested in how to
Pis
do that.
do. I've got about 5 Pis sitting here behind me and a couple up there.
I've got a Raspberry Pi that I'm not using for anything at all. And it's got like a shield connector on the top. Is that the same thing that we're talking about here?
Well, there is an audio one that you can put on top.
Okay. The reason I'm asking this is I'm trying to find a very light way to do this remotely. Yeah, go ahead.
Rob, can you go get that Pi and hold it up to the camera so we can see what you're talking about?
It'll take me a few minutes to go figure out where I stashed it, but yeah, I'll go get it. Hang on.
Yeah, the problem is you can't really use the built-in sound facility that's in the Pi itself. It's not very good. You have to have an external audio.
I do have an external sound card. Oh, and by the way, I just received this in the mail.
Woohoo! Yeah, that's what we talked about last session. Good deal.
There's a guy that did a study on sound card noise levels, and this $8 sound card from Sabrent was one of the best. But it's a specific model. It's not the common one. It's a model AU, like Alpha Uniform, dash Echo Mary Alpha Charlie, AU-EMAC from Sabrent. And I think I talked about, I know I talked about it the last time we met. And Wayne's got the scoop on it. He can email it out, I guess.
Yeah, you posted that in the chat, didn't you? I think, and so yeah, I've got that saved. Now,
Okay.
Does that have a metal case on it, or is that also plastic?
Well, it's plastic.
Yes, it does have a metal case.
Okay, that's probably.
Hang on here, I will open it up.
I don't know if you can read it. It's actually an Arduino. I'm sorry, I misspoke. It's an Arduino.
Oh, okay. I got some of those laying around here too. I never mess with.
Yeah,
I was
you're not
hoping I
likely
could
to be
do something
doing
like that.
you're not likely to be doing JS8 Call on an Arduino.
Okay,
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
I can go find a Raspberry Pi for what, about 30 bucks?
Good luck.
Yeah, if you can find one, well, they're a little, Pi 4B, 4 gigahertz or 4 gigabyte model. Last one I saw was over $100. So,
Okay,
all right.
it's just a little dongle.
Yeah,
Looks
I've got
metal.
one similar to that, but it's the cheap. I mean, well, it's not really cheaper. It's plastic case, but that's a metal
Like
case.
an
It's gonna
aluminum
help
case.
yeah, it's going to help with noise. So that's cool.
Yeah.
That's the
I
whole
tried it.
Raspberry Pi.
I've tried a
Yeah.
whole bunch of those things, and I've had good luck with pretty well all of them. Because it depends to some extent on your radio. All my radios have built-in optical coupling, so you don't get any kind of a ground loop or anything like that, no matter what you plug into it.
I use the plastic case version of that with I got a Baofeng that I use for portable pack radio, and it works fine. I mean,
The
leaves a lot.
plastic one's pretty good.
Yeah, they're pretty good, but I think I want to try one of those with the metal case. It just, well, for one thing, it's shiny. I like the shiny.
Do hams like shiny things?
Well, some of us more than others, maybe.
That's hilarious. But that little dongle thing was the entire Raspberry Pi?
No, that's just
Say again?
that's just your sound card interface between radio and your radio and computer device, whatever. So, I mean, I got like my Kenwood that I'm running JS8 on right now has a built-in sound card, but if I get out
Okay, so that's the Raspberry Pi.
there you go. Is that a 4,
No, this
3B? They don't just put it right out there in front of you and make it easy. Those Pi people.
There's one of mine.
Okay,
That's a Pi Zero.
okay. So basically, it's just a circuit card with some peripheral electronics in the chip, and that's it.
I got a 3B running my ham clock over here.
That's another Pi Zero.
Okay,
And Pi Zero W, is that?
Yeah, I've got a Pi Zero 2W there. That's a little newer, a little faster. Mind you, they still don't have a lot of memory. It's running some control software.
Yeah, I need to experiment with some of those, but they're a little easier to find than like the Pi 4s, but not much. If you find one, buy it. That's my policy these days.
But, you buy them if you want to play.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're just gonna set it on the shelf, then
Yep.
that's that's Pi 3. You got the standard size HDMI and your micro USB.
Yeah.
And practically every one of those I've got that AV jack stops working, and I have to use.
They don't work very well at all.
Every single one of them. So if I need sound out of it, I'd plug in a sound card or something. I got USB speakers in several.
Yeah.
locations around
well,
here.
my motivation here is just to find a way to make a really, really, really lightweight field portable JS8.
Yeah, looks like a Pi
System.
3.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, the
And
thing
there's
is,
a big,
you can certainly use a Pi with a QDX and make a nice little unit to do JS8.
yeah, then the biggest, heaviest thing would be the VGA monitor itself.
Well, you don't need a VGA monitor with it. You can actually
It's
you can
SSH
use-
it from your phone.
you can actually connect to it with your phone, or you can use any kind of screen sharing with any kind of network that you can get on it.
Okay.
I also have this is a little 7-inch touchscreen that I actually watch TV on here in the shack because I don't have any other use for it. But yeah, it's just a handy little device. And there again, you can turn that on and get everything set up the way you want, and then just shut your monitor off, put it away, put it back in your backpack or whatever.
Well, the thing is that the Pis, all the Pis have Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So you can actually connect to it with you can connect to it with Wi-Fi with your phone, and in fact, you can use any of the screen sharing apps, and you can actually use that to talk to it.
Go ahead, Rod.
You're
You're
muted.
muted, I think.
Oh, no, he's not muted. He's just got no.
No,
sound.
you're not muted. Your mic isn't working.
Oh, yeah, I was muted.
There you
My
go.
mic
All right.
wasn't working.
Okay.
I have a Pi B3. In fact, the one we were looking at, it's a version 1.2. I don't think it has Wi-Fi on it. It doesn't show up in the software.
Oh, really?
might
The
not.
3B does.
It's typically the 3B. I know
So
the version plus does. 3B plus has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, right?
Well, B plus version 1.3 has Wi-Fi,
1.3.
but the version 1.2 may not. So be aware of that.
Yeah, I've never been unhappy when something didn't have Wi-Fi. If you're out in the boonies, it's fine because nobody's interfering with it.
Well,
Yeah.
because this one does not have Wi-Fi, I stuck this little, you can see it right there,
Yeah,
USB Wi-Fi thing in it.
Mhm.
Yep.
Works fine.
now it's got Wi-Fi. So if I could get a Raspberry Pi running the JS8 software,
Mhm.
right? Connect it to my QDX through the audio port, like I'm doing already,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Then I wonder if I could get that, if I connected to it with my iPad, if I could use my iPad to support the JS8Call audio or video.
Should be able
There's
to.
no- well, yeah, what you would do is actually
Understanding it, some people actually run JS8 on the iPad itself.
I have not seen that app yet. I have to find that. Again, like what I'm trying to do is to get to the absolute lightest weight, take it out in the field and play with it.
Well, if JS8 runs directly on the iPad, that's the answer.
Yeah. I'll have to do a search for that.
I don't know if you can see the website I got up here.
Yeah.
Download. Go to download. Here's your Mac OS.
Yeah, but the iPad doesn't run Mac OS. It runs iOS, which
Okay.
is
Right.
different. More.
Well, let's
But
see.
if he has the source code, well, even that's not true because I know that Apple, being their normal Apple selves, if you want to make an app for their thing, you got to pay them a fee or some stupid thing like that. So
Well, you can
you,
get.
you can always run. You can run VNC.
there you go.
You can run VNC easily on your iPad, and then just use Wi-Fi to go to your Wi-Fi enabled Raspberry Pi. That can be your display.
That would work then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I have a little keyboard. You can't see it, of course, but I have a keyboard. Well, maybe you can see it. Yeah. Anyway, so I have a keyboard with my case, and it has a touchpad, so I could do the mousing things. And I could conceivably run it if VNC would understand my keyboard and my mouse on my iPad. That'd be great. I'll have to try that.
Yeah.
This is a little bit large, but I use this thing.
Yeah.
It's
That's
got a dongle on it, and it's got the mouse and everything built in.
got your trackpad right on there.
Yeah, I run that kind of stuff on an Android phone, with a mouse on the USB port or keyboard on the USB port.
Yeah, this is the keyboard that was, until a few seconds ago, attached to the bottom of my iPad. It's part of the cover,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And so it's
That's
all
the
it's all
Bluetooth.
self-contained, nice little. No, it's actually connected through three metal dots at the bottom of the iPad.
Oh, it's not Bluetooth.
It's not Bluetooth. It's
Oh.
actually connected to the iPad. But the
Huh.
beauty of the thing is it's really lightweight, right? So my end-fed antenna is a 30 and 40 meter trapped end-fed. It's got a piece of PVC pipe about maybe 3 inches long that is the connection with where the balun is. And I have a little air cannon that I can shoot messengers up into the trees, and I can take that end-fed and run it vertically up into a tall tree, and voila, I'm on. I've got a little battery pack about the same size as my QDX. It's 2,700 milliamp hours, right?
Mhm.
And I can run my
That was
QDX.
the one you were talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I can run my QDX for easily 2 solid days.
Yeah.
At the duty cycle that JS8 would call for.
Yeah.
Out in the boonies without ever recharging that battery,
Yeah.
doing 3.5, 4 watts.
Wow.
is that the one that's also
Wow.
got 5? It's also got 5 volts for a Pi.
Yeah, hang on a second. I'll go get it for you.
Yeah, I saw that.
That
There's quite a few of them.
QDX, the QDX runs Class E.
Mhm.
That's why you can get away with that.
What's
Yeah, and it's it has a really unique way of generating the digital signal as well. It samples the incoming audio and then modulates the thing directly. It actually makes it jump, makes the frequency jump. It's kind of neat. I've actually seen battery packs that have 12 volts, 9 volts, and 5 volts. Exactly what you need for a QDX if you don't want to know if you run it on either 9
Yep.
or 12.
What this has, it has a USB output,
Yep.
power only, a 12-volt output. This one is in 33 watt hours.
Yeah.
And try to get this to focus. It's a talent cell. If you want to write it down, it's a model YB1.
So what, about 70 bucks?
No,
Or is
no,
that the
about
cheaper one?
30.
Because I was
About
looking at a
30
few others. I think I was looking at the one that was always also 9 volt and about double the capacity.
Yeah, that might be
Would
about
you-
what,
would
40,
you
50
please-
bucks. Still cheap.
Would you please repeat the manufacturer and the model number on that battery?
It's called a talent cell. Common spelling, talent cell, all one word though. And it's a model YB1 203 000 hyphen USB.
Hey, maybe you should
Is that Yankee Bravo?
Yes, Yankee Bravo 120 3000 hyphen USB.
maybe
Highly recommend.
3,000?
type it in the chat.
3,000 or 300?
3000. Comes with this little adapter cord here, right? Has 2 outputs. One plugs into the battery thusly. And then you have, this can go into the radio. And when you want to charge it, this end plugs into your charger.
Yeah, they have a talent cell has a whole bunch of them. There's one, the $79 one I was talking about. It's actually 6.5 amp hours and is 9 volt, 12 volt, and 5 volt.
Yeah, this is only 3 amp hours.
Yeah.
So 6, 9, and 5, 12, 9, and 5.
Yeah.
I might buy one of those too. But this thing is about the size of a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah, they're all I think they're all lithium iron phosphate.
Yeah, this one says lithium ion, so yeah. But it's like maybe 4 to 5 ounces in weight, right?
That's
So
good.
and this is the identical size of the QDX transmitter,
Mhm.
right? So these
Yeah,
two
nice
things,
match.
and you can stick them in your shirt pocket, right? And walk out into the boonies somewhere, and like I said, with a trapped end-fed wire that weighs like maybe 6 ounces with the ballon and everything. And the heaviest thing carrying then is the air gun. And you shoot the messenger up into the tree and get it up good and high, and then you're on the air in like 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, hey fellas, we got a couple of new guys with us. We got Greg and Brad. I think is it Brad? Brad, yeah, Brad. So I want to give them an opportunity. If you guys have any questions or anything that you would like to jump in and ask, that's what we're here for.
Hey guys, thanks for having me in the group. So I've been messing around with the JS8 for about a week and a half, and hallelujah, tonight someone was finally on there. I guess wait for Friday night. I don't know, but I was getting on at the wrong times. I thought I had the settings wrong, and all of a sudden there were a lot of guys on there. So when I saw this Zoom meeting coming up, I thought I would try to join in.
Excellent. Well, we're here. Obviously, you can tell that we've got some knowledgeable individuals here. So if you got any questions at all, I mean, I'll make stuff up if I have to, but these guys know what's going on. So,
You know what the definition of an expert is? It's a
well,
guy who knows more. He's a guy who knows more and more about less and less until he knows everything about nothing. I qualify.
I was told it was like, if you break it down, it's X as in has been, and spurt, which is a drip under pressure. So
Right.
Guys, take it easy on me. I'm just learning. I've learned a lot tonight just listening to you guys talk. And as a matter of fact, I have a QDX kit that I've had in my possession about 9 months, and getting ready to build that kit up. But you know, work's busy, so and life is busy. So
Oh, Greg,
I'm going to start that build soon.
Greg, when you get ready to build it,
Yes.
try to make contact with me. I can give you some pointers on it when you get ready. It's a fine kit, but there's some pointers.
Okay. Well, I do appreciate it. I haven't built a great kit in a long time, but I did build up a Morcino CW trainer here a while back, and about 10 years ago, I built a little wilderness radio CW only 40 cal or a 40 cal, a 40 meter radio. Same difference, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that. I'll write down your call sign here where I can look you up.
Yep, N2VJO. By all means, do so. We're among friends here. If you want, I'll give you my my email address.
I'll edit it out when I post this to YouTube.
All right.
Okay. Or